the name we're giving the show, Charles.
Yeah, that's an appropriate name, beautiful name.
Indeed, because we're doing real surgery to business operations in this country, and like we always say, it is the practical approach to things.
Yes.
The surgery bit.
Yes.
Well, because we understand that the number of questions that are arising, some of them conditioned, Charles, by the realities that many businesses are contending with today.
Yes.
These are not normal times.
Yes.
And we are dedicated, NTV, Enterprise Uganda and partners, to bring you, real life experiences and solutions on how you can circumvent some of these challenges that are arising. I'm Charles Bod, your host, as usual. And in the studio today, we have, again, as usual, our business coach, Charles.
Thank you so much, viewers. And I'm so delighted to be on this Business X-Ray platform and show. And as my colleague has already mentioned, this is a moment, this is the only time when you can begin to see real life stories, real life journeys of business, and then real life explanations. I'm glad to be here.
Very good. And today, again, we have a very special guest. We want to keep it practical. He's going to share with us his experience in business. And I'm sure out there, please, if you haven't yet got that paper and a pen close, it is time to bring it closer, because from his experience, we're going to learn a lot. I'll not mention his name, but I will ask him to introduce himself and tell us what he does.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Lutello Crispin, not Christine, Crispin.
That's a good one. Yes.
I'm a business guy. I do garbage collection, so many people call me Kasasiro. So that's a brand that I've come on, and I like it because it has made me who I am today. Yeah.
Thank you, Crispin. We are glad to have you here, and of course, the number of people out there who are ready, to learn from you, to learn from your experience, from your story. The Kasasiro man, but of course, we want to look at the positive side of. Kasasiro, and I think when we listen to Lutello's story, I'm sure people will get to appreciate the fact that there is no bad business.
No bad business, and in sometimes when there is such a huge challenge which is almost inexhaustible by one entity, that's an opening for everybody to get an opportunity to work and earn some income.
Absolutely, and like we always say, if you come in and you're solving a problem,
bang, you are in for a good opportunity. People have translated human waste into into manure. And you cannot do excellent horticulture without having such organic manure. So, but somebody had to handle that thing, convert a problem into some treasured solution for farmers.
Very interesting. Charles, we had a very good week this week. I don't know, quite a couple of things happening. Of course, we're still in that political season, but then, broadly speaking, the number of things, I don't know what really touched your heart this time around.
Yeah, to me, what continues to be an interesting concern to you, the viewers, is the issue of how to handle banking solutions. Being a customer of a bank and being a borrower of a bank and being able to borrow and actually become better. And I want first and foremost say that the moment you go to a bank, and you end up paying the loan, and you look back to who you were before you borrowed, if you are still the same or you have worsened, you shouldn't have gone for that loan. And on this note, I just want to make a special announcement to the viewers and to the country. If you are out here listening right now and you have borrowed and borrowed many times and you have always paid, with some challenges in between there, I would want to get in touch with you and we discuss how you handled it, because this is a business X-ray show. When you speak your story, we unpack it, X-ray those areas that listeners and viewers need to master. So for today, my announcement is we do not want to come here and start telling you now that, so-and-so did not handle his borrowing well, so-and-so did not handle his customers well. I want to get a story out there, reach me and give me that story, and then we see how to share it with the public. But also out there are some people who may have had challenges when they went to the bank. They thought by producing an excellent business plan, with audit reports, with all the projections done, and having done a market survey, they thought they had fixed the damn thing. Only to pick the money, and challenges came all over him. And the person is saying, I've just survived a very stressful experience. Please reach me. We want that story for every Ugandan. There are many more headed in your direction, but your story could save many, many more. But it could also give hope to somebody going through the stress. So my number is 0772 699 808. I am a business clinician. We're in a business X-ray show. We will use practical stories, practical experiences of ordinary businesses in this city, in this country, to inform and educate our fellow citizens. So that's the announcement I just wanted to make today, because people are in pain.
And that is very important, Charles, because many a time we tend to focus so much on the success stories.
Correct.
But I think the people that have found challenge in business, or that have probably failed in certain areas and picked up in others, can actually share very, very important lessons.
And it's much more easier to listen and accept the lessons and the shift of behavior when you have just had somebody who has walked through it.
Absolutely.
Because that human being never intended to go through that pain, but has had to go there. What caused it? At the business X-ray show, we will X-ray light into that situation and bring out those issues so that you now know, okay, so that is what caused that pain. Now, if that is what caused that pain, does it have solutions? Then we will try to unpack that one for you so that many, many more Ugandans who are right now doing what they call loan restructuring. Everywhere, banks are restructuring. Customers are saying, oh, Bank of Uganda said, go and restructure and have a 1-year grace period. Go and have a bit of good time. You are postponing a problem if you are not fixing some fundamentals which were already evident in your business before COVID came in. COVID only came and said, you are such a reckless case or a bad case, and I can't hide you. Here you are, and then it pops you up. But there are many more Ugandans right now who are looking at several banking institutions and seeing, how do I restructure my loan? Because the word restructuring is so exciting now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've not paid enough attention to what is entailed in the restructuring of the loan.
That's a good point. Because you don't just go and look at the loan duration and then get a bit of grace period and then give a bit of delay in completing your loan when you have not fixed the real issues behind the challenge.
It's a lot deeper than that. Charles, we had a very interesting discussion last week, and I think with one of our partners, that is Uganda Insurance Association, and to be specific, the Agriculture Consortium. And I think, again, talking about helping people, business people, deal with some of these problems, I think it's important that they need to appreciate the fact that we work with other partners as well, because some of the problems, like banks, I think we need to bring some banks one of these days. To really respond to some of these things and issues arising. Yes, but without any further ado, I think this is the point when we give an update to those that could have missed that engagement. Quite a very, very important and powerful story that we had last week.
Yes, as you rightly put it, Charles, I think my starting point, listening to the young man and the Agricultural Insurance Consortium that we hosted last week here, one of the things that comes out, and I want to underscore it very importantly, is that an accomplished entrepreneur, an entrepreneur who will continue with his success and create an enterprise that moves from small to medium size to big to national. Such an entrepreneur is a client to many service providers. You can't own it alone. You cannot say this is a client of Enterprise Uganda. It's wrong. You can't call this is a client of such and such bank. That client will be a client to many service providers, many partners who further his mission. And such partners will then be bankers, insurers, suppliers, business facilitators like Export Promotion Board, NBS, and many other partners like Uganda Investment Authority. All these are needed to create a solid entrepreneur. And government has of recent through NDP3 realized this fact. And now they are saying, let us now not build success in our economy in a silo form.
Yeah.
I'm a Minister of Trade. I don't want to know what Minister of Agriculture is doing.
Yeah.
I'm a Minister of Finance. I don't want to know what Minister of Industries is doing. Let us begin to collaborate across the board.
Yeah.
The second thing that I thought came out of that experience is that agricultural insurance is not a privilege for the elite. It's available to all, including farmers. The young man we got here is a young man who has not even registered his business, working with his fellow youth, but managed to access the benefit of agricultural insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only did he register for that cover, he actually benefited from it, and it was twice. And the third time, as they were going in again, they told him, unfortunately, you've delayed. And because you've delayed, the risks we are trying to insure you against right now, they are predictable. So let's not insure them at this stage. Come next time when the thing is still a risk. In other words, we don't know what might come out. So it is good for everybody, micro, small, and even the disaster-prone areas. And with government subsidy, the most interesting thing was that with government subsidy, a business or a farming business with the potential to earn 1 million shillings, the premium is only 20 shillings. I mean 20,000. One hen, you have taken care of a 1 million shilling investment. Now continue with all that you want to do, fully aware that in case that one risk, which you cannot predict, and in this particular case, weather related, if you can't predict that one precisely, the one hen you have released will leave you sleeping properly and continuing with your projections. And I thought also one thing that came out of that presentation was that for now, the satellite technology that's helping in doing this survey for the entire country was supported through a catalytic funding from the Netherlands. As a government, we need to make sure that that technology remains functional because it's key for the insurers to do a good job. Number 3, I now have very specific lessons that I thought should be shared for the viewers here. One of them is that there is need for that information on agricultural insurance to continue to be filtered across so many entities of government. And at the district level, we have got officers called or designated as district production officers, district agricultural officers, district commercial officers, and also we have got other government schemes handling agribusiness, OWC, and many others. These entities of government need to get this information and ensure that anybody involved in agriculture, because as you heard from the consortium, they are saying, please, we would be happy to come and handle somebody, even paying a curve of 1,000. But please make it commercially viable for us by having at least 100 farmers in a particular location. Through government programs, that can be done. The other lesson is that agricultural loans with primary production as part of the borrowing should also incorporate this into the loan agreement, so that you have taken a loan to improve your tea, to do whatever agricultural production, include this agribusiness insurance. It would be very useful. But the other fundamental point that came out is, as we go this route, even agricultural insurance is not magical. It depends on the very basic fundamentals we keep talking about here. One of them is integrity. The other one is good business management practices. These are important. The story, remember the story of the fellow who talked about a tea farm in West Nile?
Oh, yes.
It was a ghost story. But he was so willing to pay the 60 million, knowing that he's going to pick up billions of money.
At the end of the day.
And taking advantage of a wonderful facility and abusing it. So you need honesty, you need business acumen. When this fellow was told that, you know what, we're coming to to inspect the farm.
You went under.
The phone was switched off.
Yes.
And these are the kind of things we do even when we go and do business with the partners overseas in Dubai, in China, everywhere.
Sad
if we
indeed.
take our lack of integrity, you break the integrity of yourself, but also you break the overall rating of a nation.
Absolutely.
They will be saying, anybody from Uganda, check again and again and again. Terrible indeed. And of course, to do with the business management, you need also to have good business records, market knowledge, and for that you need producer organizations, great veterinarians, great agricultural officers. You saw the kind of information that the agricultural consortium uses to make the final decision.
Quite thorough and scientific.
Very thorough. They said, we will look at your soil, its ability to absorb water. If the water runs through quickly, that must be sandy. If the water runs away, then it must be clay or rocky. Then they said, if that one is okay, let's look at the temperature around the area, the wind around the area, the cloud cover in the area, the leaf surface of the crop. Now, if that kind of analysis can come from a partner, how about you is owning the project? You should be far superior than that. So I want to say that as we bring more partners on the Business Express show, I want people to know that we are bringing people with solid expertise, like the Insurers Association. We are going to bring bankers here. We are going to bring the tax body here. Together, as we speak this message, the country will begin to see, yes, our solutions are within us, and we can create solid businesses for this country.
Thank you very much, Charles. And talking about creating solid businesses, today we have a very powerful story from a gentleman, and it ties in with the topic that we have for the day, which is practical lessons from a priest you could stroke father who saw a community challenge as opportunity to launch a sustainable business. Actually, underline the word business sustainability or sustainable business, because I mean it's a song, that narrative, that line of Ugandans not being able to sustain business operations.
5 years is too long. But
absolutely,
we have a person right here.
Well, Mr. Lutello, this is the point where we actually introduce you to the viewers again. Now, I know you gave us a digest of who you are, but again, I need to put that question back to you. Who are you in the business world? And give us a bit of a background. How did you enter or harbor that thought of saying, let me go into business? But just a bit of background, who you are, for starters.
Well, I did philosophy and theology in Tanzania and in Nairobi. So 2 years to my ordination, I felt begging wasn't going to be a good thing. You know, many preachers today, they depend so much on the Christians to help themselves live, which is okay because they're doing God's work. But as a person, I came from a background where the resources were not available. And I continued doing the same thing. I said, no, let me find something that I can support myself and nobody's going to look at me or avoid me. So I came back in 2009 and I started farming with only 2,000 Uganda shillings 11 years ago. But today is a different story because after 9 months, I saw a challenge in the community where I lived by that time in Seta. Personally, I could not litter garbage. And then my neighbors and then my clients who were buying my vegetables. One lady offered to pay me 50,000 shillings by then, but I said, that's too much, but only one client, I cannot do that. But I did my survey with a lot of struggle, which took me almost a year. But after that, I decided on the 17th of July 2010 to begin the business with only 3 clients, and today it's a different story.
I hear you. That's quite interesting. So, paint for us a picture. I mean, but maybe before I bring you in, Charles, there's a very important takeaway here, which I'm seeing. I mean, the fact that she was able to spot a need, a community need at that particular moment. And running away with it and saying this is where I am going to start.
No, you raise a good point. As we said, this business X-ray, we look at a story like this to tell people things that they should be picking. One of them, as you rightly put, is that this is a man with a background of religious training and career. And he treasures it. He says it's a good thing. And then he said, as I continue in that direction, can't I also be solving a problem somewhere? And he said, there are already even people who are handling the other career beautifully. Many times we tend to say, I'm an engineer, and you rigidly stick to that. There is in your neighborhood a need to start training dogs for people who want security dogs. But this rigidity in your head which tells you that you are an engineer, go and fix vehicles, go and construct a property somewhere. There is a need in your neighborhood, and you could learn it from the neighbor. So here is a very broad-minded Lutello, and says, God, you created me. God, you gave me the opening of training along a particular direction. But God, there is a problem for your people right in my neighborhood. But then he also had that logic of saying, one, maybe not. But then his brain remained in there. And then he started saying, what if another one, then another one? Then along the way, as the brain was beginning to focus, he saw that with 3 I can start. And I suspect as he was starting with 3, he did not take all his time. He continued using his time elsewhere. And that is very key for the listeners to know. When we unpack the things for you here, never imagine that because somebody started with 3 customers, after he served the 3, he rested the whole day. There must have been a few things in between he was doing to fill up his time. But he had started a game, a journey. That later unfolded.
Very interesting. So Crispin, you've told us your background. You went to a theological college. Is it theology or philosophy?
Philosophy and theology.
Philosophy and theology. So, we've seen very many people give excuses of saying, well, I don't have business skills.
Yes.
So I can't go into this kind of business. How did you come to terms with that? And I'm sure some of our viewers, because you were making a very huge leap from one side.
Yeah, and the investment you've done in terms of time and money.
Yes.
Everybody would be right to judge you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tell us your experience there.
Well, it was hard for me even to start thinking about, that background. I'm going to become a priest, and you are that esteem that the community has already given you, even my family. Now, lowering yourself to trash was something humbling. But when you see the future, you're committed to do something. The same thing, but do it differently and diligently, and you get the results there.
Okay. So paint for us a picture today, of where you are in terms of investment, in terms of size of your business, that journey, how you walked from, the 3 clients and then to what it is today.
Okay, 3 clients in one day. Then after 1 year, you have almost 50, thinking of where am I going to get a truck, because hiring a truck was expensive. Then you're doing things not knowing what was coming on the next day. But I got one of the things that as a family, I believe strongly now that a wife in a house is a very strong tool or a strong partner for you to run any enterprise. My wife on my back supported me, and using her or using together the resources that I was given, we managed to get a salary loan. And then that was a leap when we first bought our truck. Then, because I had interacted with Enterprise Uganda, Bid Network, Moves, different enterprises that helped me to get there. Then we got partners from Belgium who gave us some money as a loan, and we bought the second truck. Now we are on our own. We bought our own land for the purposes of business. This is not my land, but it's the business land. So that's how I've done it.
Okay. So today, how many people do you employ? How many trucks do you have? And what is, the size of your operation?
Now, We have 16 workers, but the challenge is with the workers in Uganda. Today they come, tomorrow you have to replace, but 16 workers. And then we have 3 trucks. And that's how we are. The clients are 950, clocking to 1,000.
Wow.
We delayed because of the loans that we had, so you cannot service the customer as well. But right now, we are determined to get even to 2,000 clients in the next 2 to 3 years.
Very good.
Yeah.
Charles,
Yes.
what are you picking from here? I see, maybe before you come in,
Yeah.
Crispin here mentions the importance of family
Very correct. Very, very, very true.
in business, you know, sharing
Yeah.
your dream and
Yeah.
your vision.
Yeah. Many times when you are in a take-off point, when you are starting enterprise, you are against the wind in many respects.
Yeah.
The capital is small. The knowledge, you are just building it up. The customers are few. And then you have got a background that doesn't associate with the smallness of the enterprise.
Yeah.
All those are factors against you. Any shoulder you can lean on to receive a bit of inspiration, support, matters a lot at that time. And as Lutello has indicated, to him, the wife mattered. And truly, it is mostly those who are closest in your life, the people you want to impress, the people you want to believe in you, who are most fundamental at the stage of takeoff. Because that's the stage of where everybody is simply saying, it can't be, it can't be. Did you see him really collecting rubbish? And just imagine what he said. 1 year, he had no truck. He must have been using all types of methods to dispose to this garbage.
I imagine even donkeys.
Correct. So at that point, everybody is saying for sure, really, no, it can't reach this stage. And then you have a wife, and you come back home in your mess. You need somebody to say, I believe in you. And then look at what he said. He said, you don't know how the future will turn out.
Yeah.
In other words, our God is a very interesting God, and he's a God who says, I don't want to disrupt you, but I will not give you a video of what it will be 3 years from now. Just disappear there, sort yourself, but I will reward the works of your hands. So the fellow has no video that gives him hope, which says, in 3 years' time, you know what, you'll have 900 customers. Please keep moving. I have given you a direction. So all those are the kind of things that I want our viewers to appreciate, that at the take-off point, there will be many who will be at the sidelines giving judgment. Many at the sidelines, not only just giving judgment, laughing at you and almost saying, please, so and so, go and tell him to stop it. And then those who love you truly will come begging and saying, please don't do this. This is not about you. They mean well, but they don't know the direction you are going. Now, where he has reached, at that point when now you have the 3 trucks, you are back to being called uncle. You are back to called being, you know, a great neighbor.
Omzei.
Omzei,
Despite the fact that you have
now
no
this
gray
is
hair.
a very important person.
Yes.
But earlier on, it's the person that people are talking all over as they wake up in the morning. The gossip subject is about a certain Lutello.
Yes, yes. So, Crispin, tell us, you begin with 3 clients, then you build. Today, you find yourself, or at a certain point, you find yourself with, you know, you have these trucks. You're serving over 900 customers.
Yeah.
Now, I know that is not an easy leap for starters. It comes with its own challenges, much as it's an opportunity.
Yes.
Tell us, how have you been able to handle that shift, you know, from the smallness to now where you are, which is really a good feat by all means.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I would start, the people around you matter most. And Mr. Chicha said, when there are 5 broke people, and the next person is going to be you. When you're around the 5 rich people, the next rich person is going to be you. So the people you surround yourself with will always take you off or take you on. So I learned at the early age from the priestly life I was living that a good company will give you that good
It rubs off.
It rubs off. So I had people who had already made it in life. So every time I wanted to do something, I could say, how will so and so look at me? So I was a little bit, not cautious, but you know, I was trying my level best. So mentorship is key. You can't run any enterprise because there's no school of garbage collection in Uganda. It's hands-on. You either know it or you don't know it, but keep trying, and that's how I did. But the mentors I had, Enterprise Uganda helped me, MOOBS helped me, Bid Network. On that note, Mr. Igazi Nunula did a great, excellent work to shape my business because he was there with me.
That's a good one. Now, there's another trap that many business people tend to fall into, and I think Charles here talks about it more often. You know, that sense of feeling big, Ale?
Yes.
Or sense of arrivalism.
Yes.
Because I imagine with three trucks, with so many workers, with so many customers and growing, you know, you feel like you've covered some good ground, therefore you can relax a bit. I know how hard it is to build a business from scratch.
Very true.
You know, that time comes and you're like, I think now, let me sit back.
And especially when you want to inform those who had laughed at you in the beginning.
Yes.
You now, it's time to try and remind them that, please remember how you doubted me.
Yes.
You remember how you used to talk about me.
Yes.
So,
and you want to assure them in capital letters.
Exactly.
So how have you handled that? How, you know, and then continue to stay focused on what you want to achieve?
I have a background of Christianity, and you are just a steward. These things are not yours because you have to hand over to the next generation so that if we do it as Africans or as Ugandans, I envy the Asians because they introduce these children at early age. But remember, whatever you have, these are resources that have been handed over to you and you are accountable. Don't think that you can eat everything, even the seed. So that stewardship in me, that has helped me to get ahead. Okay, there are temptations that you say I've sweated so much, I was smelling. I had that temptation as well because every evening I could go to Metroplex then and we enjoy chicken. You know, who is demanding us money? No one. We are doing good business. But you remember, am I only working for food? No. Today I'm glad that even the food I thought would be a challenge, today I don't buy food. Everything is in-house. So that helps me to grow business better and to allocate the resources in a good way.
Very good. Charles?
Yes. Very interesting points again he comes up with there. First of all, he knows that whichever resources that you have, don't get excited about them and start enjoying life and causing your own stagnation. And it's one of the biggest mistakes many business people tend to go through. You had a tough beginning, you struggled with life, there was scarcity, now money is coming in. You want to demonstrate to people that yes, I am the one now, I own this business, and you can see now I don't even touch the garbage, but the thing is working and it's doing well. That ability to be patient and calm and disciplined and saying, I have a business that I'm going to hand over to the next generation is extremely an important aspect of business growth.
And I think that's very important because
very key.
Many of a time, I think we don't look at building businesses that are generational.
Exactly.
It is about the entrepreneur.
And that's why if you can detach yourself from your history and begin to say, where can this business go? Have I covered? Because where did you start? Which part of Kampala did you start?
I started in Seta.
So you ask yourself, I started from Seta. Does St. Kitintale need me? How about Rubaga? How about Kawempe? How about Bwaise? So if you ask yourself, you begin now to say, I am here to contribute to the welfare of society. But as I do that, an entity will be generating rewards for me. Then you've changed the whole story. But if you keep on hanging in this past of, see, you know, this is where I came from, this is where I came from, you see where I am now, you quickly begin to become short-sighted.
You compare yourself with the...
Yeah, and I keep telling people that that's almost what you call, you know, you are a normal height person, then you are now in the community of pygmies, economically.
Yes.
Now, these economic pygmies here are admiring you. And then you are saying, yes, 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 not knowing that if you could also look a little bit beyond the community where you are, you begin to look at yourself and say, I think I slumbered. I think I need to wake up. I've been associating with my own past and my own pygmies here, and I've lost a lot of ground. Wake up. That is what we call goal setting. Now, the people who are around you, their goal is to get something from you. Now, if these are the people you are using to benchmark with,
you cooked,
you are in trouble.
Absolutely. Now, in fact, on that note, because that brings in the aspect of exposure, at what point do you now make a decision to say, let me look for Enterprise Uganda, and what really pushed you into that space? What led you there? But as you come in, viewers, you can be part of this discussion. We're going to flash a WhatsApp number. You can drop in a very, very quick WhatsApp message or comment, which Mr. Lutello and Charles here will be able to respond to quite quickly. Yes, Crispin.
Well, there are many factors in life, but when you draw back to yourself, you know, these things, you do it for the community, but again, it is for yourself. Where do you see yourself? You judge yourself accordingly. But again, as you rest, you know, it's not about me, it's about the people I serve. Now I have the trucks, but are they mine? They're for the customers, because it is their money that I've used to do all these things, and it's not my money. Now, when you see yourself in such a place, you really understand that I have a huge responsibility rested upon me. And I don't want to disappoint, because there are days where I don't want to go back and pick rubbish. Maybe you've gotten insults from a customer, but again you say, that is not the only customers, and there are people looking for. I'm sure even my partners in Belgium are watching me, but now I have to be accountable to those people. So those are the things that keep me moving and pushing on in life.
Very interesting. Again, tell us about those networks and how you managed to, you know, like build, because you mentioned about going to, you know, when you went to Enterprise Uganda specifically, what kind of training or support did you get from there?
Now, a friend of mine, he's a big man in the country, so he runs an enterprise, and I was selling vegetables to them. So for me, I needed capital to add on in my vegetable business. I said, no, you go to Enterprise Uganda. I thought they were giving capital. Money to add in the business. Now I hear the tips they're giving you to adjust in your business, then the best package they have, the Empriteco. You know, I started seeing myself as the guys I wanted to emulate are doing it. So, Enterprise Uganda, you meet MOVES. MOVES, I find Bid Network. Bid Network, people in Belgium have Humansoul. Then the POOM. The network, once you are into that web, you'll get connected. And that is the leverage that we all need to use. I'm a fan of Robert Kiyosaki. So leverage is one of the key things. So there are many types of leverages, but you know, you can use debt, you can use other people's time, you can use other people's skills. But for me, Enterprise Uganda helped me now to sharpen the pecs. I know Mr. Chichi will always talk about the pecs. So many people think it's a sexy word, but it's a sexy because it helps you to make your business look beautiful. Yes.
That's a good one. Charles, probably Charles will add more flesh to that peg thing.
Mr. Lutello has just mentioned something that we train and instill to all people who come and sign up with an international product for which we have a franchise given to us by UNCTAD, the UN agency. That program creates anybody who gets certified under that program becomes an empreteco. And an empreteco is an acronym of two Spanish words, entrepreneur and technology. Now, in that training, we instill in the participants what we call personal entrepreneurial competencies. Those competencies you need to rely upon to run that enterprise no matter the circumstances. Listen, Mr. Lutello said, sometimes the customers are insulting you. And they are insulting you because they say you are carrying garbage. And they think, you know, even they themselves cannot touch it. Now it's you touching it.
It's your business.
If you don't have those competencies, those personal competencies, and just say, this is not a representation of all my customers. You saw this is what Lutello said. He said, I got somebody who insulted me. 99% are saying, thank you for taking away the rubbish. I have a wedding, I've got customers, I've got my daughter's birthday. Thank you for taking away the rubbish on time. One has misunderstood you, and you don't know the circumstances of that one. Could have been a drunkard at that moment. But now if you use that one there to judge your contribution to society, you've lost it.
Absolutely.
So personal competencies or personal entrepreneurship competencies is one of those products that we have at Enterprise Uganda for creating a resilient, dependable entrepreneur. But also he touches on something interesting. He talked about coming to Enterprise Uganda and expecting capital, and the word is in quotation marks. I wanted the viewers to know that when you come to Enterprise Uganda, we broaden the appreciation of that word. Then suddenly, like Lutello did, you discover that one of the very first and most reliable capital is actually entrepreneur. But then we take you to the details on how that happens. Ugandans know that the moment you mention the word capital, show me notes, show me coins, show me cash. That is what I know as capital. Anything else, you are not doing me any good. They just want that capital must be some cash somewhere. And that is the kind of shallowness that we try to eliminate by x-raying on that lack of knowledge, so that you begin to run your enterprise in a manner that all the great entrepreneurs have done. There are so many people in this country, and one of them was the late Mulwana, who hardly ever borrowed for running his big empire. But he was a chairman of Standard Chartered Bank. He was a board member of East African Development Bank. He was a deputy chairman, where I was also on the board, of UDB. He never borrowed.
I hear you. Quite powerful there.
Yes.
Quite powerful, quite powerful. Now,
so, but he had a lot of capital that he picked from many other ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, the entrepreneur becomes very, very important. And I think we tend to really underestimate ourselves, the amount of value we add to the enterprises that we begin.
Very true. Very true. And then, now just commenting what you just said, he mentioned something that we at the business secretary here must shine light on.
Yeah.
This man finally became attractive to people from Belgium. He became attractive because he was already sweating and on the road. And because they found him already sweating and on the road, when they gave him a truck, because he had already gotten one truck on his own and carried that weight, they gave you one.
They gave me one.
They gave you one. He has since added another one.
That's a good one.
Now, what I'm driving at here is anybody who is waiting for a grant and you have never been able to grow what you have on your own, chances are extremely high that that grant will be misused.
Absolutely.
That grant should find you sweating. And when that grant comes in, you should grow so quickly, so fast that anybody will come and check. Like now, if the Belgians came and looked at what he's doing, they'll just simply say, you know what, our grant was just a drop in the ocean. What you've done on your own, you are amazing. We are proud of you. The grant giver should showcase you. As opposed to say, you know, the grant you gave me had some imperfections. I wish you had given me a cow with this kind of, you know.
Yes.
So it is a very interesting picture of somebody also who picked a grant somewhere. And he's saying, if they watch him now, they are proud of him.
It's a good story.
Yes.
Very good. Crispin, so we have a number of young people in this country. And I bring this up mainly because we've had these cases where young people will say, I can't do that. I can't do this. I'm waiting for this kind of a job. Actually, we have many graduates today that are unemployed. Looking at where you began and where you are today, what kind of advice would you give to such a category of people or youths in this country?
Young people, my fellow citizens, you know, it's a race. Don't look at who, look at yourself and envision yourself where you want to go. If you do that, you are able to lower yourself and people will lift you up. I did it. You too can do it. I went down to collect trash. Today, I am here not because that I qualify, but what I did, garbage collection, qualifies me to sit in this seat. So, young people, you can start anywhere. Don't undermine anything. Anything that would shine hides itself in overalls in terms of work, hard work. The moment you start, you know, you develop a relationship, it opens up, it opens up, it opens up, and becomes big and big. Because I started one, now the second person who was my wife, then other workers came in, the trucks came in. So you become big and it's beyond me and beyond my own understanding. That's where I seek for help in any way, but you have to start small.
That's a good one.
And be patient, be patient. Time is key in everything that we do. You know, we tend to say that we are young, but you know, time is against you. Every day, you are adding on a day and you're getting older. So the things you could have done when you're young, now when you're old, you're going to start begging. Today, I don't think that I'll go back to beg. I'll never go back to beg because I've used my early age in a way, in a wiser way, not the very best way, but at least I've tried to live to that.
That's a good one. Now, talk about opportunities in the space where you sit. Today, if you go to, we now have cities. If you go to townships, garbage is a problem that everyone is talking about. And I really want you to contextualize for us the kind of opportunity that this presents. And at the same time, of course, in challenges, you find opportunities, but then we'd like also to tap into your experience as a person sitting in that sector on what you think townships can do to handle that problem sustainably, while at the same time offering opportunities to those that are looking for them, if they are looking indeed.
Again, you said about the young people, the people around. You know, my first time when I flew to Rwanda by a garbage ticket, you know, it's so rewarding. You know, you enter a plane and then you're going to talk about what? Trash.
Yes.
So trash took me to Rwanda. And I said, okay. Now, let's go back to our communities. The trash you know, you went to a supermarket, you went to the market. Who bought that stuff you're buying? It is you.
Yeah.
And whose responsibility? Okay, you may not have time. I am here, I can do it for you because you have other things to do, which is okay. So that's when a garbage collector like me comes in to help you in that. So for me, that is an opportunity. But again, look at yourself and say, this alone cannot survive, help me survive, but how can I grow it and make it a bigger business? That's what I did, and that's what you should do. Opportunities are there. But now I go back to our communities, the townships that you're talking about. Let's become partners. I've seen it with the mayor of Mukono, I've seen it with the councillors, I've seen it, you know, they've helped me because they identify that, but people, let's take cleanness back to ourselves. If I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. Okay, me, I saw it as an opportunity, but we always say Rwanda is the cleanest country. I tell people in SETA, I tell people in Uganda, we can make Uganda the cleanest country, beginning with me. And that is an opportunity where I sweep, I clean and maintain. You know, these are not things which are African, but one key thing is maintenance. Maintenance is the cleanness of our environment.
Yeah.
If we can do that, young people, that's unemployment, that's opportunities everywhere, because I see opportunities everywhere. Right now, I want to start another business, but related to garbage collection. I'll clean, but again, collection remains to another company, which is Westmasters Limited.
That's a good one. Crispin, I have someone here watching us. It's Jonathan, and he's asking, what inspired you to choose garbage business and not any other business?
Jonathan, thanks so much for that question. But to be sincere, I don't know. But the thing is, garbage has continuity. The moment you go to the shop, you've created a job for me. Because you're going to throw that bottle, that cavera, and somebody else is responsible, and I am the one to take it out. That is an opportunity. It will not go away. Garbage is here to stay. So that, tap in that, and then you'll see the results.
I hear you.
Yes.
Charles, I have a question for you here from Alan Nisema. He's the founder of Rada Shoes Limited.
Rwanda Shoes.
Rada.
Rada Shoes, yeah.
Yes. He's saying, in such a season of changing economic times, how do you stick to a goal, a growth goal that is amidst limited resources?
Very interesting. I want to say that no matter the circumstances that we are all facing right now, first thing is, if they are generic, they are affecting everybody, that's not your fault. It means there's very limited you can do. Like now when you have got hotels and there are no customers, you can't go and pick them from wherever they are and just say, please come, I'm here, I'm giving you zero, almost the lowest occupancy. That's a different matter. But given the circumstances that now you've reached, and now you find that really making progress is tough, you still ask yourself, am I the only one in this space? Most likely no.
Yeah.
What are the others doing to cope? Remain ready to learn, remain ready to unlearn, remain ready to relearn, so that at any one time you do not start saying, I leave it to God. If you utter that word, you've just disabled your brain. Tell yourself, God, I'm ready to be used again. The journey I've been on is getting tougher and tougher. Where else can I go and learn some tricks to pull through? And you'll discover somebody somewhere is saying the factory now, which is underutilized, might be a store for beans. For 6 months, for a year, accept a portion of it to become a storage facility.
I hear you.
It is not destroying the machines, but you are giving a service again. In other words, what else can your resource be used for? You've known one thing only, how to manufacture shoes, but the utilization of that thing is getting so small because the schools that are supposed to be ordering for shoes are not opening. And nobody is saying, for the sake of your survival, let's give you some money, even when we are not going to use the shoes now. Nobody's going to do that. Make a decision and just say, what is the alternative use of my resources? Your time, your energy, the assets that you have. You will start to see some openings. How do you see those openings? Look at others who are having resources similar to yours, but they are using them differently.
That's
there are
powerful.
needs in there.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Now, I have Rashida. He's saying he's inspired by Lutello's story, but he has a question for you as a coach as well on this one. He's saying, I started a small business in September this year. It's about cosmetics.
Interesting.
But I want to know how I can save up for rent and again make my money grow without loans because I fear them. That's honesty.
Yes. For rent, money, a business for cosmetics. Let me say this. A business for cosmetics, clearly you may be having a need for a good location where you can ably display your items. But you could also start saying, with the tough times, how do I relocate to a space where I can manage? Now that I've gotten a few customers who are saying yes to my products, and then you maximize repeat business and referrals. As you do that, you'll quickly discover that you didn't need to remain in an expensive rented place, which you cannot manage. If you can start using the first buyers to keep coming back, to keep bringing for you new customers, and use that to now relocate to a more affordable area. You'll have, one, reduce on your obligation of rent. But two, you can also tell the customer, the owner of the premises, that, you know what, we're in tough times. I want to continue to be here. Can we negotiate rent? Today it is being done.
Absolutely.
It can be done.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And like the Arapapa story here, Charles, we saw that even the online e-commerce is bringing down the wall, the brick and mortar walls as spaces for business.
Exactly. And then in case you still feel that that place you need it, you could get off sharing that place maybe with the saloonist.
Absolutely.
So that the rent is shared.
It's shared.
The point I'm driving at here is never go for an enterprise where the overheads are stressing you for a fairly protracted period. As much as possible, try to break even at the shortest possible time.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much. Dear viewers, at this moment, we're going to take a very short commercial break. We're still responding to a number of your questions. I'm seeing them coming in. Others are appreciating. We thank you for appreciating and watching the show and appreciating the panelists for this evening. We'll be specifically focusing on your questions when we come back from this very short commercial break. Welcome back. We're still on the Business X-ray, where we actually go deep in a certain business idea, call it a sector, and we try to look at what it takes for you to thrive or make it in that sector, build a sustainable business through experiences of those that have lived the experiences and those that have worked with people that have lived with the experience. And that's why we have Charles in the studio, always. Crispin, before we went for the break, we were talking about there was a gentleman from Masindi who is asking the announcing ambitions of joining the same business and is wondering how they can go about that.
Well, I can only give you what I went through because I went to to town and I saw a KCC truck. Where do you dump the garbage? Say Chitezi. I was new in this country after 8 years outside the country. And where is Chitezi? I don't know where Chitezi. But it takes you and get that commitment and say, this is what I want, and the information is readily available. Use your phone. Use people like me. You can call me. I'll leave my number behind. I'll mentor you because I want more competitors. We make our country clean. So Peter in Masindi, it's an exciting journey. Please start. Just start now.
Very good.
Yeah.
Charles, and I think as you talk about it, how you began, maybe if I bring in Charles, Crispin, you know, your first days, you make that decision, you see something, that KCCA thing you saw, and then you're like, let me take this leap, let me take this move and start operating. And in here you have your wife in town.
Yes.
Yeah. And I imagine having spent some time in the, seminary, you must have been, also on the journey of beginning a young family and that kind of thing. That picture, how did you handle that? And how did it look like? Because sometimes we tend to paint rosy pictures for businesses to start and that kind of thing.
Guys, it was hard. But if with a sincere heart, if really the wife or the girl you have really loves you and wants to see, because you are the head of the family, whatever you see is what we will go with. So I really appreciate my wife, Faith. We had our wedding on Friday. And then Saturday, the only day we are collecting garbage, and it's looking at us. We can't tell customers, you know what? Yesterday was our wedding. So our first honeymoon was on the truck. Both of us were on the truck collecting trash. And everybody was like, these guys are crazily in love. Okay, that's how we celebrated it. But, these are things to test you. Are you ready for the surprises we are going to give you? Even today, I'm ready for more surprises. So I can't tell you that this is what works for you. or this is what you should do, but as you walk the journey, you find the tips and the hints to take you to another journey.
Very good. Charles, quick learnings there. Again, as you also prepare for Josh from Bushenyi, who's asking, how can he get connected to such people? The funders, the, you know, he has had Josh's, brother Crispin's networks and that kind of thing.
Yeah, he states something very interesting. Until you start, you have no idea how capable you are in learning and getting to know the ropes of the game. He didn't know where Kitesi was. KCC simply says, we drop the rubbish in Kitesi. How you go there, that's up to you. But also you discover that the very God that created us put it in a plain form. He said, ask and you'll receive. Seek
And you'll find.
you will receive, you'll get. Then knock and the door shall be opened for you. In other words, take that first step of courage and begin this game with your innocence and begin to learn along the way. And now he said, today is at a point where he has seen more opportunities outside even the garbage collection. Who knows where he will be 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now? He might be still in garbage collection. He could even have said, you know, I've given more people a chance to learn that this is an opportunity. Now there are enough people in the space. I'm moving into something else. So I think Ugandans need to know that the ability to learn the skills, the competencies you need for any sector are endowed with you, and you are the person to go on that route. You've got to be ready to walk that route. But as you walk that route, you must realize that nobody will be clapping for you. If you don't produce the results that begin to change the conversation, you are going to have a much longer journey where criticism will keep on building and building and building. But the moment results begin to change, 1 truck, 2 trucks, 3 trucks, 16 workers, they have bought a piece of land, the conversation begins to change.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Josh
is saying he wants to see how to access donor resources. I want to say that first and foremost, donor resources are the most highly competed for, because those resources are meant to do a specific impact. Now, for you to qualify, you've got to stand out of the crowd. Meaning, therefore, that you should have outclassed many others using the resources you do have. And I'm talking in this particular case of donor resources for economic empowerment, donor resources for expanding an enterprise. Because at the end of the day, donors are not going to replace what you call a conventional banking sector. So the moment they are trying to do something at the sidelines, they are looking for stories of promise. And that's why a story like his is a story where people are saying, we want to associate with that. Now he has 3 trucks. What else does he want us to do to improve the collection of garbage in the city? So presenting yourself in a manner that is showing anybody with the resources to donate, that says that I can make your resources look beautiful, is the #1 thing you need to do. And you do that by showing what you are doing. And then 2, what's the potential impact? So that we justify supporting you as opposed to another person. Otherwise, there's a banking sector. Why should we give you the money?
Absolutely.
So look at the donor resources as an affirmation that you are doing a great job, first and foremost, with your own limited resources.
Thank you,
and
Charles.
And use that profile to attract those resources.
Thank you, Charles. I have Peter Ogwang here. He's watching us from Jinja, and he's saying he's happy with Mr. Rutaro's story. It shows commitment and resilience. He's thanking you for ensuring that the environment is clean, and he has learned a lot from this program.
Very good.
At the same time, I have Gerard here, Charles, for you.
Yes.
He's saying he has a product he's working on, but his biggest headache is how to improve its appearance, scent, and make it competitive in the market. He doesn't sell the product.
He doesn't sell the product.
Yes.
How to improve the appearance, the scent, and take it to the market. That's Peter, eh?
That is Gerard.
That's Gerald. I want to tell Gerald that I'm happy that you're already seeing that overall the product is working. It is now the presentation that you're working on. Now, the moment you have fixed the aspect of functionality of your product, it means you can begin to have repeat customers. As you get the repeat customers, do not be in a hurry to consume the profit from that. Try to use all that to address those remaining aspects to perfect the delivery of a complete product. In other words, address the number one aspect, which is functionality. You'll see that somebody who is serving a meal or a lunch for workers in a site under a tree has addressed the functionality aspect. You go in there, you get a hot meal or portion beans.
Doesn't matter where it's served.
People are lining up and they are very happy. Then you keep on now improving and saying, okay, whatever profit that I get, tomorrow I'll give them a bench to sit, but made out of a log. But I make sure that that log is properly dried. And then later I will also say, okay, I've been allowing them to just to wash in a dusty thing. Tomorrow I'm going to get a basin where they wash and the water is going into a basin. You are now perfecting the other aspects of customer care and presentation. But you first and foremost addressed functionality and serving the customer.
Thank you, Charles. Peter, I have a question for you. Someone had, of course, the way you began your business and families involved. And I think Charles can, briefly also input on this one. He's saying, I would like to know how one starting up a small business can control the demands they have from family and personal needs, which are sometimes bigger than the business output. How did you handle that?
Well, you see, we have needs or we have feelings. There are 5 F's which have been taught recently which sabotage your finances. But one of the things is feelings. And feelings, you can control them. So, I want an expensive shoe, but a shoe, I see it at least a band of garbage bags to serve more customers. A good meal, like, I'm not saying don't reward yourself, but know your limits. Don't eat more than you can consume. Many people think that the money, okay, let me phrase it this way. Wealth is what you do with what you have. That's what matters. Now, you want to eat all the food. So tomorrow, what are you going to tell the customer? I had a good meal? No. You have to sacrifice. You be prudent. Be prudent and say, okay, now I have meager resources. Now let me use this. You balance, keep that balance, and you'll find that things will get even better. People will even give you advances. Now I have a customer who gives me a check of 6 months in advance. I've not worked for it. That's already capital for you.
I hear you.
But many people think that when I eat and people laugh at me again because you've made yourself a laughing stock. And you have no guts to go back and do the same work you're going to do.
I hear you.
Understand?
Charles, in addition to that, and as you do that, again, you can, this is Mr. MYN, he says, is MYN, saying, what is the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs in Uganda face today, as you do that?
So let me first look at the aspect of limited resources against limitless demands. I want to say this, if you can fix this principle, you have started a game of becoming a true entrepreneur. And the principle is never touch the capital that you had yesterday that was related to your enterprise. And when you use that capital today to generate a profit of, say, 200,000, the capital was 1 million. You have used it today to generate a profit of 200,000. At the end of today, remove the 1 million, which is your capital, then do the next decent thing, which is saying, the 200,000 I've earned today as a profit, I should not consume it all. I'm entitled to eat all my profit, but don't do it. Because it's from the profit where you begin to see growth. If your growth is always waiting for somebody to give you that donation, which is unpredictable, or a banker to come and just say, you have started, but let me just give you a loan, and you have never learned how to make a profit and replow it into an enterprise, you are not yet carved out to be a business person. So what do I mean here? The 200,000 shillings you are talking about here, if you have got needs associated with rent, school fees, treatment, make those needs to fit in your profile of profits. you are generating a profit of just about 200 per day. Now, if you look at that across a month, please, can you make expenses associated with that month that are within that kind of a profit range? By ensuring that half of the profit must not be eaten, it must be put back. Living with just 100, that means you have only 3 million at the end of the month. Now, never go for a school that wipes out all that and then you go back to the capital. Never go for accommodation that wipes out all that and then you go and touch the capital. In other words, these needs which Lutello has ably called the feelings, the things that we are trying to solve, they come in a range. There's a school for 500,000. There's a school for 1.2. If you can't afford the one of 1.2 for today, go for the one of 500. As the profits expand, in another 3 years when the child is going to primary 5, you will be able to take him to a school of 1.2. You can say the same for clothing, for shoes, for eating. There is a protein called beans. There's a protein called fish. There's a protein called beans, but dry beans. But there's also a protein called beans, but fresh beans. Go for the protein you can afford. As you keep on building your profits, you can continue to consume all the things. You upgrade, but on a sustainable level.
Thank you, Charles. I have Mariam here. Kluge is appreciating Charles and Charles for the good show. She says, you make my Sundays hopeful. I admired Crispin for the courage and the confidence he exhibits when explaining the work he does. Mr. Chichi, put me on your priority list. When schools are opened, I'll be one of your first students. Now, thank you very much, Mariam, for watching us and supporting this. I have Emmanuel here. Emmanuel says he has a he feels he has begun a successful enterprise. He's just beginning. He's making bar soap. And he's saying he has very good, the product has been appreciated a lot by the market.
The bar soap,
But he feels he needs to market it further because he believes that there is more need for his product out there. And his problem is resources.
He's
stuck. What advice would you give?
I will tell, he's called Emmanuel?
Emmanuel.
I will tell Emmanuel that, yes, there is a way we look at the word marketing and we try to over-glorify it. But there are a few things you need to get right. If you are already having a product which is well appreciated, begin to know who is taking it. What are the outlets that are taking your product? Is it the schools? Is it the drop-in one by one customer? And if you can ensure that each of those fellows comes back, you have one, stabilize that customer base. Two, if you can ensure that each of those can begin to talk about your product and let the neighbor also try and buy the same soap, you begin to expand your business base. So repeat business is fundamental. Referrals from satisfied customers is very important. Continuous getting feedback so that you continue to improve, extremely important. But that feedback should come from the customers who are enjoying what you're already selling. Do not wait for a moment when you now say, now I think I have money enough to do marketing. That is too idealistic. The base that is solid, that's dependable, is a base of customers who came in, tested the product and said, I'll continue with this one.
Good. Thank you. Crispin, I have someone here asking, to share, what is your future plan in the next 5 years? Are you planning to recycle some of this garbage? I mean, what are you looking at?
Well, we've already started. We did recycling. That's why we sought for partners from Belgium. They've been coming, but again, we are going to give excuse of COVID. So they can't come in the country. The last person left in February because he wasn't certain of what. But we've been doing compost. The market is still low, but we are doing recycling. We make compost. It's available. But again, we are looking at expanding to serve other cities. But well, I'm not yet satisfied with the work I'm doing in Mokono or in Seta because I see a lot of garbage. But now it is to sensitize the people. We will go to schools, we will go to communities, because we think that the customers we have, they can refer us, but they can be the starting point to clean our neighborhood. because that's the next thing we are going to roll out.
Okay.
Not only earning money, but also giving back to the community. We have a plan of planting 5 billion trees in the next 10 years. We give the trees for free to our customers and then on the streets where we live. So that is the plan we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to just go back to that quick comment of saying, what's the greatest challenge for entrepreneurs, for an entrepreneur? And I want to say this, that if you can fix this thing, you're on course to remain an entrepreneur indefinitely. Ability to make whatever you are doing to keep growing non-stop. You built that one house, you got tenants. When you got the tenants, you did not consume all that rent. You used that rent to pick another plot and started another project. He has now 3 trucks. We want to see him having 5, 7, 20, 40, 100, and want to see him live or go beyond SETA and go to other parts of Kampala that I've mentioned, Wakiso, and then Entebbe, and then Soroti, where I come from, and any other parts of the country. Why not become regional? Go to Nairobi. So the biggest challenge for most entrepreneurs is ability to retain continuous growth. A beginner will struggle with that. If you can fix that at a micro level, you are headed for greatness. If you have fixed that at a big recognized level, and you continue to grow, you are headed for greatness. Remember the story of Nakmat? They went on growing and growing and growing, and they were not growing when they were sustaining key partners like suppliers.
And that cooked them in.
And that brought them down.
Absolutely.
If you doesn't matter how big you are, if you cannot continue to grow with all your partners supporting you, your bankers, your suppliers, your customers are all happy, the shelves were beginning to become empty. But they were a regional supermarket. Anybody who stops the growth path, no matter how big you are, your game is beginning to reach the final lap.
Thank you, Charles.
Yes.
On that note, viewers, I'm afraid we still have many questions, but we'll find a way of engaging you online. This brings us to the end of this week's Interface. Charles, thank you very much for those good ideas. And Crispin, we can't thank you more for sharing your experience. And I'm sure on this show, the Business X-Ray, a number of people have picked very key lessons. And I can see them in the questions you're forwarding. Those that are appreciating us, we appreciate you in return. I've been your host, Charles Boji. Until next time, have a good evening and God bless.